Hi there. Today we're going to be teaching you about knot tying. What we're going to do is we're going to cover how knots work, and we're going to go over the four most common, or the four knots that we here at Y Camp think everybody should learn how to tie. The square knot, the slip knot, the bowline, and the hiker's knot. So stay tuned. Well, according to Wikipedia, a knot is an intentional complication in cordage which may be useful or decorative. Practical knots may be classified as hitches, bends, splices, or knots. Uses, knot theory, physical theory of friction of, there's a lot of stuff on here. Turns out knots are pretty interesting. Let's learn how to tie a few. To practice your knot tying, we're going to use some really simple things. You can use any kind of string or rope that you might have. Sometimes it's easy to use two different colors or two different types. That way you can kind of see what the different parts are doing before you've mastered it. I've got a stick here that we can use to tie things around, maybe practice a shoelace knot, things like that. We're going to set that off to the side, and we're going to learn the square knot first. For the square knot, what we're going to do is we're going to have two different ends. It can be two ends of the same rope, or two different pieces of two different rope. Now repeat after me. Right over left, left over right. Here we go. Right side over the left, twist it. Left side over the right side, and twist it again. If done correctly, when these come together, it forms two perfect loops that intersect, and you can take them and slide them like that. The square knot is really useful for tying two ends together very strongly. It is a knot that will continue to tighten onto itself if either end is pulled. It's going to be very difficult to untie this later, so I find it most useful for things that I don't really want to untie, like ribbons on Christmas presents. That's right over left and left over right. If tied incorrectly, you will have what's known as a granny's knot. And when you go to tighten it, you'll notice how it does not form those two pretty loops, and instead is this rather unattractive twist of, well, it's just not a good knot. The slip knot is a simple constrictor knot that is really handy for when you want to tighten it down on something or maybe hold things together. We're going to only need a single piece of rope. For the slip knot, we're going to put a loop through a loop. Now, there are three ways to form a loop. We can bring the two sides together like that. We can put this side over top of this side, like so. Or we can put this side over top of this side, like so. And these are indeed three different kinds of loops, because when we say we want to put a loop through a loop, I'm going to take this side, put it here, and we'll see how this part of the rope lies underneath. So now when I make a loop here and put it through this loop, it's pulling against it. And when I tighten it down, I now have a slip knot, or a loop through a loop. And I can pull that tight against things. I can pull this side to loosen it up. And the neat thing about these is you can pull them and they come right out. So I'll demonstrate again. We're going to take a loop. I'm going to go around here and put this through like so. And that's a simple slip knot. Now, if we continue doing that, I can pull this, put that loop through that loop again, put that loop through that loop again, and you have what's called a daisy chain, which is a neat way of holding pieces of rope together in a smaller package that you can very easily, when wanted, just pull it right apart. So try it. The bowline is a useful knot if you want to create a loop that's not going to get smaller or bigger and that can easily be untied in a rope. If you've ever seen the movie Jaws, which, while not a great movie for learning about shark ecology, is a good movie to have a scene where one of the main characters is learning how to tie the bowline. Because the bowline has a story. The story is that the rabbit comes out of the hole, runs around the tree, and goes back in the hole. For this, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of rope and we're going to make a loop. For here, I'm going to take a loop where the end closest to me is on top. This creates the rabbit's hole. And this end closest to me, this little end right here, that's our rabbit. Hi, Mr. Rabbit. Hi, Kyle. Are we going to learn how to tie knots? Why, yes, we are. Here we go. The rabbit's going to come up out of his hole, run around the tree, and go back in the hole. And then when pulled tight, you have a loop that's not going to get any bigger or any smaller. And then you can always, quite easily, just untie it. So let's watch that again. We make a loop. The rabbit comes up out of the hole, runs around the tree, and back in the hole. You give it a try. Rabbit comes out of the hole, around the tree, and back into the hole. Do you have a problem with your shoelaces coming untied? Have you found that the double knot doesn't really work that well, or it gets so tight that you can't ever untie your shoes again? Well, don't worry, because the hiker knot is the solution to that. If we look at how knots work, the double knot under the shoelace actually loosens the underlying knot when you tie it, whereas the hiker's knot is going to provide twice as much friction to hold that together while still allowing you to untie your shoes at the end of the day. So let's watch how it's tied. We're going to pretend that this stick here is our shoe and our shoelaces. So now I've got the two ends. We're going to tie pretty standard. We're going to go one side over the other. Pull it tight. That's the first part of our shoelace knot. Now, there's two main ways to do a shoelace knot from here. You can do the rabbit ear method, or you can do the loop, the swoop, and the pull. In order to tie the hiker's knot, you're going to have to practice the loop, swoop, and pull. Because for the hiker's knot, we swoop twice. So here's my loop. I'm going to wrap once around my thumb, twice around my thumb, and then I'm going to pass this through the loop as I pull my thumb out. You'll see we now have two bends of rope going over those loops holding together. And when we tighten that down, there's twice as much friction holding this together. No double knot necessary. The hiker's knot will keep your shoelaces together all day while still allowing you to untie them at the end. So you try. Extreme close-up. For an added challenge, try practicing them with your eyes closed. Square knot. Slip knot. Bowline. And if you're ever stuck on a ship and there's someone holding onto a rock and you need to throw a rope to, the bowline is a great knot to know how to tie with one hand. What? Someone's in trouble. Here, grab the rope. Thanks. Quick, pull me in. Okay. Send us a picture of you tying these knots or a video for a chance to win some great Y Camp prizes.